Alright, this video is going to be on a tool called Swept Boss Base. And basically what this tool does is it allows you to control your extrusion pathways. So like for example, if I just do like a normal extruded boss base, what's going to happen is that shape is going to extrude straight out in a linear pattern in one direction. But you see, what we can do with a swept boss base is instead of this shape just extruding straight up, we can change this pathway. We can make kind of a custom pathway. So if we want this shape to go up and then curve and then come down, we could do different stuff like that. So what's different with this tool as opposed to just an extruded boss base is you're going to have to make two sketches. And those two sketches are also going to be on different planes or different faces. One of those sketches is going to be what's called the profile, which is the shape of what you're trying to extrude. In this case, our profile is a circle. And then the second sketch that you're going to make is going to be called the pathway. Now the pathway is not going to be a shape. It's not going to be a closed loop sketch. It's simply going to be a line. You could use a line tool. You could also use a spline tool. You could use arc tools. And what that second sketch is going to do is it's going to determine where your profile, your shape, is going to extrude. So, first of all, let me get rid of this sketch real quick. So what I'm going to do for this part is I'm going to create kind of like a handle on top of this part here. So like I said, we got to do two sketches. The first sketch I'm going to do is going to be the profile. So that is going to be the shape that's going to extrude. Now, this one's a little bit different from extruded boss base or extruded cut because we're not going to go straight to swept boss base. We're actually going to click this button last. What we're going to do differently is we're actually going to start in the sketch tab. And I'm going to hit sketch. And I'm going to click on this top face, and this is where I'm going to draw my profile, which is going to be my circle. And then I'm just going to exit out of my sketch. And obviously you could add dimensions and what else you might need, but I'm going to avoid dimensions just to keep the video quick. Okay, so I've exited sketch, and you see the circle just turned gray. Okay, it did not extrude. And that's normal. We don't want it to extrude just yet. Now the second sketch you're going to do is going to be the pathway of the extrusion. Now what you have to do is you can't do it in the same sketch. You can't even do it in the same face. You have to do it on a different face, most typically a face that is perpendicular to whatever face you used for your profile. So for example, when we drew our circle, we essentially drew it in the top plane, so that means for our pathway we're going to have to draw it either in the right plane or the front plane. And for this case, because I want the extrusion to kind of go up and over here, I'm going to want to go with the front plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select front plane, and then I'm going to click the sketch button. So now I am sketching on the front plane. And I'm going to go ahead and change my view. Now, you do want to kind of spot where your profile was. It's not always easy to see, but I can kind of see these little, I can see those lines right there, those little gray lines that turn orange when I hover over them. So I know this is where my profile is. That's where that circle is. And I'm going to start my sketch probably right at kind of the center of that. So now I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to use a line tool, and I'm going to try and draw this profile here, and it'll kind of make sense once I finish it here. And I'm going to go ahead and use a 3-point arc, and I'd say that looked pretty good. And you could do basically whatever line that you want to. If you just want to draw like a circle and then draw like a squiggly line, you know, that circle is going to follow along that pathway. So I did a little bit of something different. I did kind of a combination of, line tool and arc. Okay, so let's kind of take a look at our sketch here. Okay, so that's our profile, or I'm sorry, that's our pathway. It's not a closed loop sketch. It's not a shape. It's just a line. It's determining where that circle is going to extrude. So what it's going to do is this circle is going to extrude. It's going to start by extruding upwards, but then it's going to follow this arc and then extrude down back into that shape. So I'm going to click Exit Sketch. So we got both of our sketches here. We've got our profile, and if I'd like to, I could even rename that to make it even a little bit more obvious. And then this second sketch is our pathway. Okay, so I've got my profile and I've got my pathway. So now I am ready to go to my Sweat Boss Base tool. And the Sweat Boss Base tool is actually really easy to use once you get your 2 sketches done. All you have to do is you got to fill in these 2 boxes. The first box is asking you to identify the profile. So I'm going to go ahead and click on our profile shape. And then the second box is going to ask us for our pathway. So I'm just going to click on our pathway. And what we can see is the circle extruded up, and then it went ahead and it followed along this pathway and then extruded back down into that shape. And then I can just green check. We see it finishes just like that. And just keep in mind, if you want to, you could do this same, you could use this same tool with multiple shapes. So like if I do extruded, or if I just do a sketch, I could draw multiple shapes. And I can still use the Sweat Boss Base. So let me see. So I did that in the top plane, so I'm going to go now to the front plane. And for this one, I'll just kind of use a spline tool. Something like that. I'll exit out of my sketch. All right, so once again, we've got our profile. In this case, our profile consists of 3 shapes. And then our pathway is going to be our spline tool. So we'll go up to Sweat Boss Base. We're going to select our profile sketch and then our pathway sketch. So just like that. You can do it with 1 shape. You can do it with multiple shapes. So hopefully this was helpful using the Sweat Boss Base tool.